In our news package tonight, Tinubu vows to end gender-based violence, promote girl-child education. House Committee on Industry, Commerce and Tourism, fresh facts on defunct Kwa River Hotel, Eket. Organized labor shuts electricity discos, TCN offices over tariff hike. And Prince Harry, wife Meghan, and tour of Nigeria in Lagos. Details of these and other stories in just a moment. Good evening to you and welcome to AKBC 405 News at 8. I am Blessing. It's on you. President Bola Tinubu on Monday vowed to bring to an end gender-based violence and increase learning opportunities for girls in safe and conducive environments. Tinubu made the vow while speaking at the launch of Organization of African First Ladies for Development We Are Equal campaign, which held at the Old Banquet Hall of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He stressed the importance of education in empowering girls and promoting gender equality. While lauding the initiative of Offlight for the campaign launch, President Tinubu noted that it had been successfully launched in 15 other African countries, adding that its focus on Nigeria is entitled Education as a Powerful Tool for Change. Tinubu commended the African First Ladies for their commitment to advancing gender equality and narrowing the gap in opportunities and appointments across Africa. He also praised his wife and Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, for her efforts in championing education as a primary tool to advance gender equality. Since the inauguration of the pet project of Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu Renewed Hope Initiative on June 23, 2023, it has impacted on the vulnerable and indigent families throughout the country. States across Nigeria, including Akwa Ibom, have felt its core mandate of inclusion in fulfilling the very essence of the project. The project focuses on 5 cardinal areas of agriculture, education, economic development, health and social investments, with beneficiaries cutting across the 36 states of Nigeria. Margaret Bassey takes a look at the latest inauguration of the RHI Women Agricultural Support Program for South-South Geopolitical Zone and RHI Financial Empowerment of 100 small business persons living with disabilities.
The banquet hall of the Government House Uyo was filled to capacity following the influx of guests within and outside the state, including the coordinator of the Renewed Hope Initiative for the 6 states of the South-South Geopolitical Zone of Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, and Rivers. Also gracing the event were the Secretary of the Governing Council of Renewed Hope Initiative and First Lady of Imo State, Barrister Chioma Uzodinma, Director of Social Investment and wife of Senate President Mrs. Ekaituneoma Akpabio, wives of the Governor of Osun, Chief Titilola Adeleke, and Ogun, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, also the wife of the Minister of State for Petroleum, Oil and Gas, Mrs. Esenbom Ekperikpekpo. Speaking during the visit, the Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, said the project is aimed at strengthening the agricultural sector and bringing the vulnerable closer to government, and listed other ongoing intervention programs to include the Young Farmers Club, Food on Every Table, and Every Home a Garden. The wife of the president, represented by the wife of the vice president, Hajia Nana Shetima, presented the draft of 10 million naira each to the 6 coordinators of Renewed Hope Initiative for the 6 states comprising the South-South Geopolitical Zone for further disbursement of 500,000 naira each to 20 beneficiaries from each of the states, and the issuance of 100,000 naira each to 100 people living with disabilities to revamp their existing businesses.
To all those involved in organizing and implementing the Renewed Hope Initiative Women Agriculture Support Program nationwide, I thank you all. I look forward to witnessing the impacts of this intervention in the lives of our women farmers and the broader agricultural community across Nigeria.
Governor Moino, while addressing the gathering, commended the humanitarian gesture of the presidency and wife, which he noted is devoid of political party sentiment, noted that Akwa Ibom state government has also taken steps to implement laudable programs such as the Arise initiative for the elderly, Arise free voucher food program from the bulk purchasing agency, among others.
We may belong to a different political party, but we will work hand in hand with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We will support him and we will ensure that the program in Akwa Ibom succeeds.
Also speaking, the Akwa Ibom State Coordinator of Renewed Hope Initiative and wife of Governor, Pastor Patience Umoino, and the wife of the Bayelsa State Governor, Dr. Gloria Diri, who doubles as the South-South Zonal Coordinator of Renewed Hope Initiative, noted that the initiative will boost the status of women and break the barrier of discrimination against persons living with disabilities, urging the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the funds.
These are crucial steps towards a more inclusive and sustainable society. By empowering this crop of women, you can unlock their full potentials.
The activities and programs of Arecha is a paradigm shift from the usual and making lasting positive impact.
Some beneficiaries bared their minds at the event.
That's the first time I have, benefited from the help of the government.
Thanks to our president wife, we are very happy.
I'm very grateful that as a beneficiary, this money will help me to do my business.
I am a blind cluster, and what I want to use the money for is for my pickery farm.
Margaret Bassi, AKBC News.
Meanwhile, the investigative hearing of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly Committee on Industry, Commerce and when the committee discovered that the state government had in 2008 revoked the certificate of occupancy and cancelled its contract with Ekbo Enterprises on the defunct Kwa River Hotel. The new information was part of accounts of the transactions according to documents presented by the managing director of the Akwa Ibom Investment Corporation, Pastor Imobasi Jacob, when he appeared before the committee. Legislative Affairs reporter Uyoko Soa completes the story.
Monday's hearing was the third investigative sitting of the committee. The first accounts at the sitting were those of the Managing Director of the Akwa Ibom Investment Corporation, AKICOP, Pastor Imobasi Jacob. Pastor Jacob explained that contrary to insinuations that the hotel was outrightly sold out, there were conditions for the sale, which Ekbo, the co-investor, later defaulted on. He said on government's discovery that its idea for privatizing Kwa River Hotel, like several other businesses, had failed, it decided to revoke the agreement and certificate of occupancy of the investor, which the investor acknowledged and pleaded for leniency in a later raid at the meeting.
This letter was dated 27 June 2008, addressed to the governor. And the first paragraph, quote, "With humility and heavy heart, I appeal to you, my governor, and father of all people of Akwa Ibom State, to reconsider your recent action to cancel my ownership of the e-resort property that I bought from the state government a few years ago." End of quote.
The representative of the Commissioner for Culture and Tourism was not allowed to speak, as the committee insisted the commissioner must appear in person.
The hotel and tourism is under him. Anytime we invite him to come, he will not. Please, you speak today. Let the commissioner will invite you properly. You will appear in the front of the house.
The committee also reacted to a lawsuit of an interlocutory injunction in a state high court on the property by reading from the Legislative Houses Powers and Privileges Act 2018 of the National Assembly. The act grants national and state houses of assembly immunity from litigation for actions taken in plenary or committee proceedings of the House to strengthen the power of the legislators to carry out their legislative functions. The Act also empowers the legislators to summon any person to appear before them to give evidence. Chairman of the committee and Chief Whip of the House, Chief Effiong Johnson, said with all the information at its disposal and others to be submitted at a later date, the committee is better positioned to take an informed decision which will guide the executive on its next course of action on the hotel.
We will do what we need to do. So I made recommendations to the government of the league. These are oversight functions that we are doing. We will recommend what we need to. If you have any problem, we will come to you and if we need to find out anything, we come and find out from you. So we can put that in place.
Uyoko Uswa, AKBC News.
Still to come, organized labor shuts electricity discos, TCN offices over tariff hike. And Prince Harry wife Meghan and tour of Nigeria in Lagos. This and more when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. Protesters under the umbrella of the organized labor have rejected the appeal by the chairman of the Nigeria Electricity Commission, Sanusi Garba, who is seeking to go back to the drawing board. The NLC and TUC members today blocked the entrance of the headquarters of the Nigeria Electricity Distribution Company, Abuja, over the Band A tariff hike. Garba, while addressing the protesters, noted that the commission would go back to the drawing board with regards to some of the demands listed by the organized labor. The NLC chairman, Comrade Joe Ajaero, also remarked on banks sitting on the boards of the distribution companies. NEC had earlier given deadline to all the banks to exit the boards of distribution companies for proper investors. Discos affected include Jos, Ebonyi, Kano, Kaduna, Bauchi, as well as offices of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, and the Transmission Company of Nigeria in some states. This development follows non-compliance with letters written to electricity operators and regulators to reduce electricity costs. Prince Harry and wife Meghan have concluded their 3-day visit to Nigeria with arrival at the nation's economic capital, Lagos, during a trip to promote his Invictus Game for wounded military veterans. The Duke of Sussex arrived with his wife Friday in Abuja, where they visited a school event on mental health in a trip that also witnessed the prince meet wounded Nigerian soldiers in the country's northwest. Prince Harry and Meghan took part in a basketball event with the Giants of Africa Foundation in Lagos, an organization that helps youth through engagement in the sports. Meghan on Friday sat on an event for women in leadership with Nigerian-born World Trade Organization Director Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, where the Duchess discussed her Nigeria heritage and being a role model to women, among other events and activities. The funeral service in honor of the founder and general overseer of the Chapel of Body of Christ Ministry Incorporated, Reverend Ezekiel Okonakpa, has been held. The obsequies of the septuagenarian conducted by his church attracted family, congregants, and the who is who in the state and beyond. Wanoko Akpan reports that the funeral held at the St. Andrew's Catholic Primary School, Otioro, in Okobo local government area.
That was the atmosphere when members defied the adverse weather to celebrate the exit of the Lord General, late Reverend Ezekiel Okon-Akpa. Speaking on the topic, prepare to meet your God, Bishop Effiong-Amana entreated the attendees to prepare to meet with their Creator, noting that a day of death will come at the Lord's call. Bishop Effiong-Amana asserted that preparation was inevitable in life and encouraged Christians to live aright as God will call for account from humans.
Prepare to meet your God. The man of God prepared himself from the time the Lord called him, or from the time that he had a relationship with God. He started preparing himself in doing all good works.
Testimonies were received from the church, EFAC, family, and the village. In a biography read by one of his spiritual daughters, Mrs. Mesio Oyo Anyin described late Reverend Ezekiel Okon-Akpa as a very humble person, humane and principled. His dealing with people was without discrimination, as he willingly played the role of a father to anyone who ran to him for advice and financial assistance.
He lived a cheerful life. That Ezekiel made several sacrifices for the betterment of the people around him, and this lifestyle endeared him to many people. He was loved and admired by his community members.
The event witnessed prayers for the bereaved family, church renditions from various choirs, congregational hymns, and songs. The Okobo State Can Chairman, Reverend Chris Nyong, Reverend Oyo Anyin, Apostle Emmanuel Nkeruwem, Reverend Edete Temuwe, Pastor Joseph Odiong, among others, attended the funeral, while some relatives, including the wife, had this to say.
He was a very good man. Any discipline. I will know.
We thank God for the success of today. I want to appreciate everyone. Reverend Akpa was one of our best. He's one of the few outstanding indigenous church founder. It has been himself.
The remains of late Reverend Ezekiel Okon-Akpa was later interred in his compound, Otioro, Okobo local government area. Nwano Kuopan, AKBC News.
That's our package for tonight, but before we go, we take another look at the top stories. President Bola Tinubu on Monday vowed to bring to an end gender-based violence and increase learning opportunities for girls in safe and conducive environments. Tinubu made the vow while speaking at the launch of Organization of African First Ladies for Development's We Are Equal campaign, which held at the old banquet hall of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He stressed the importance of education in empowering girls and promoting gender equality. Protesters under the umbrella of the organized labor have rejected the appeal by the chairman of the Nigeria Electricity Commission, Sanusi Garba, who is seeking to go back to the drawing board. The NLC and TUC members today blocked the entrance of the headquarters of the Nigeria Electricity Distribution Company, Abuja, over the Band A tariff. Thanks so much for watching, and do have a good night rest. I am Blessing Isonweo.